All right. Hey. All right. Apologies for the delay. It is my great pleasure to introduce two of my favorite people in the world, one in the flesh, one via the tubes. The tubes. Mr. Tommy Refenes and Edmund McMillen, creators of Super Meatboy.
Yes, that was clapping. Here, hold on. Say hi, Edmund.
Hello.
So, right now we're just kind of working out. We're going to have Edmund on Skype. He's flying in an airplane around the world right now. So yeah, we're trying to get the satellite link hooked up and everything. So once we do, we'll start this little post-mortem thing. Is it ready?
Yeah, yes, sir.
All right, hold on. Just, yeah, okay.
Hold on a second. And I'll swap you over.
That's my password.
And then I put this as your microphone.
Okay.
So just hold this in front of your mouth.
Hold this in front of my mouth?
The angle.
Oh, okay. All right, now I'm trying to remember my password for Skype. Excuse me. We aren't the most prepared people, so there we go.
Am I just on the phone?
I got to set all this stuff up.
Tell me. Blame it on
This is all GDC's fault.
Skype.
This is in no way my fault. I was very, very prepared for this, as I am with everything in my life. Can you hear me?
Hang up.
All right, I'm going to hang up on the phone. There. Okay. Can you hear me, Edmund? Yes. Okay. Where's my piece of paper? I can also hear what sounds like canned laughter. This is all fake, like the moon landing. There's nobody in this room. All right. Let me, there we go. So which mic? There it is. Okay, can you hear me, Edmund? Yeah. Okay. All right, so, yeah, I had no doubts either. So yeah, this is the, or what we're calling the Super Meatboy Post-Mortem, which is more like the story of Meatboy, peppered with various good and bad things. What is he doing? So we're going kind of non-traditional because I don't know, just because we can, and this is what we do. So,
we went over this talk about. I think you guys were probably there when we went over this talk.
yeah,
We just prepped it.
yeah. This is the talk. I just wrote it over here. But we've gone through this development, and we were so this Meatboy development was so personal, and we were so attached to it that. Really seems kind of silly to write down words that describe it. We'll just sort of talk about it. So, I don't know if you want to start with the origin story, Edmund.
Yeah, I can do that. I'm sure most of you guys know that Meatboy was originally a flash game that I made with a friend of mine, John McKenzie. We made it in about 3 weeks. And honestly, I didn't think much of it. It was just like a little simple platformer. I didn't think anybody would really care that much. around the time where I met Tommy, which was actually at GDC. I think in 2008, at the end of 2008. And I met him and we talked about making games, and turned out that we had known each other from 7 years prior. We both were part of the Refenes network. And we thought, hey, we'll try something out. We made a quick flash game together. And since we worked so well together, we decided that we'd go in and try to make a console game. And the game that we thought would be the easiest and probably the most popular would be Meatboy. So that's kind of where it all started.
Correct. But yeah, like Ed mentioned, we both had websites a long time ago. Was that Guppy?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with them.
Typical.
Litter box. Every morning, every single morning, there's a new piss. And it's hard to like scold him about it because it's so easy to clean up, and it's like, well, he's not pissing on the rug.
But yeah, you know. Yeah, so Ed and I, we knew each other like from a long time ago. He mentioned we both had websites around the time when Newgrounds and everything was starting out, and we were both affiliates. We were both linked to each other, and yeah, Ed went into the indie world, and I went into soulless corporate world, and yeah, we both kind of met up and decided, you know, well, first we did Gray Matter together to see if we'd actually work out. And that was a little flash game that we did, and that was I thought it was a good game. We got a lot of plays. It was pretty good. But yeah, we decided that yeah, let's make a console game. And I had played Meatboy, and I really enjoyed it, and I actually beat it, the flash version with the control issues and everything that it had. But yeah, it was my kind of game, and you know. We just sort of, yeah, it just seemed like a natural fit for something to make. And I was coming off of a project that I didn't really like, and yeah, I wanted to do something that was more related to me. So it just sort of worked out. And that's when, well, you were talking to Nintendo around that time, weren't you?
Yeah, that's when I did that. I couldn't get a hold of anybody at Nintendo, so I did this video where I would call up Reggie like daily for a week to try to like talk to him about WiiWare, and I never got to talk to him. And I actually posted that video online, and it actually got an email from the guy in charge of WiiWare asking us if I was serious about doing the WiiWare game.
Yeah.
And I said yes, but at that point we didn't have any really money for the kit either. I didn't have any money myself, and that was another problem. I was like, you know, it's the thing is like then I was like, how are we going to come up with like $3,000 to get a kit? Seems insane.
Yeah.
But ended up doing an expansion pack for Meatboy, and then covering half the cost, and then Tommy covered the other half, and that was able to get our kit.
Yeah.
I was already talking to Microsoft because, and this is something probably nobody really knows, but Tommy, and Alex were all working on Gish 2, and that was going to be for Xbox Live, and that was like where it all kind of originated. So when we started Meatboy, we were already talking to Microsoft, and when Gish 2 eventually didn't happen, the whole time we're trying to push Meatboy to them, and eventually they picked up on it. But it was something like we always wanted to do Meatboy for all the consoles, if possible.
Yeah.
But we had kits for basically every console at that point.
Yeah.
And we were just kind of going down the line and seeing, you know, what was going to work where.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had. When we first started Meatboy, I actually had it running on Xbox before I had it running on anything else because I started it on PC and I had already, you know, I had Xbox experience. So when I was writing the engine, I was writing it, you know, all DirectX and everything. So porting it over to Xbox wasn't difficult at all. So I actually had it running on that before I had it running on Wii, and then had it running on PlayStation. And yeah, we were just sort of kind of shopping it around. Like Edmund said, we definitely wanted to do it on everything, and thinking about that now, like if we would have put it on everything, I'd be dead. For sure, I would be dead. Like that's not a joke. Don't. No, I almost died doing this version. Yeah, that's only on 2 things. So, yeah, on like 3 or 4, yeah, I'd be dead. But yeah, so we had it running on PlayStation and everything, and yeah, we were. Yeah, well, let's see. Around that time, so the first 6 months of development were actually me getting the engine working and getting an editor for Edmund so he could start building levels. Edmund really didn't touch the game until, well, let's see, we started in about February. What year is it? It's 11, right? And we came out in 10. Now I'm actually having trouble now. Did we start in? We started in 2009. Like February 2009?
In like...
Yeah, because then the year later we were in IGF. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, we started in February 2009. That's when I was taking the engine for the first game I was working on called Goo, and I was just refactoring everything. I trashed everything, and I was redoing it. And that was about 6 months or so of development, getting it up and running, and getting an editor for Edmund. You actually didn't... Like, I made, like, one of the first little levels to test out controls and everything. But you actually didn't make the first level, I think, until about June or July, I think.
I was just sitting on my hands.
Yeah.
Waiting.
That's what you do, though. You don't really work. You just kind of, whatever.
I just float around on webcam.
Yeah.
Hang out in the background.
Yeah. Float around on webcam and yell at me. But yeah, so that was around the time. So yeah, I had it running on WiiWare and the Wii dev kit, and we got invited to a summit in London where they were showing a whole bunch of games. In our game, we only had, I believe, 12 levels at that time. It was like 12 levels. We had a really early replay system in. There was no world map. There was no cutscenes. There was only Meatboy. I mean, it was really, really early build, but it was still playable. Oh yeah, and that's the actually before that before we actually did any real like testing of levels or anything, I spent probably like 2 months like just refining controls and trying to get controls exactly right and feeling as good as we could possibly get them. And yeah, it was just a lot of duct taped physics kind of stuff. There's no formula to describe the way Meatboy moves in the air. There's no formula to describe how anything would move like Meatboy in the air, so it was just kind of duct taped. And I made a little thing for Edmund that he could adjust values to like further tweak everything. But yeah.
See, I justified, when he jumps off walls, he jumps like faster and further.
Yeah.
It's because he's pushing with his arms and his legs.
That's good. It's a really it's very accurate. If you were going to climb up a wall or slide down a wall, you would definitely use your hands and legs.
Well, that's the thing. Like nobody's doing that.
Yeah. Those parkour kids, they do stuff like that. But yeah, so we had the controls in. Everything was feeling really, really good. Actually, we did have one cutscene. We had the black and white. The first black and white Meatboy cutscene.
Yeah, that's all we had. I mean, we had like the intro.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked pretty bad.
I thought it looked pretty, but I don't know shit about art, so.
Yeah, I wasn't super happy with how it looked, but it was kind of like we were actually crunching for that summit like all week, and we were freaking out about it. And that same week was the week where it was like most of the stuff that you were doing, I had no control over, so I had to give myself something to do.
Yeah.
And that was when I made the comic. I decided, if Tommy's going to make, all this shit, like you were doing the replay feature, and if you were going to do that in a week, then I was going to make a comic in a week, so we could at least give something out, like at the summit.
Yeah.
So, I just improvised a comic book for the game that we printed out and you took, and you were able to hand out and stuff. But yeah, the summit, I remember when you called from the summit, you're like, holy shit, like people really like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, maybe, that was the point I think we both realized maybe we should really make this into, something really epic, because originally it was something that was just going to be 100 levels on the Wii, on the PC, maybe on Xbox. It was going to be something kind of small and simple.
We weren't going to really add anything to it, were we?
No, it was no bosses.
Yeah, no
just
bosses, yeah.
Kind of like the Flash game, basically.
Yeah.
And, I think after we saw that it had so much potential, and it was so fun, we just decided to go all out, which was one of the reasons why we kind of lost sight of the file size stuff. Which
Yeah.
Come back at us.
We'll come back to that.
We kind of fell in love with the game.
Yeah.
Totally blindly in love, and just went all in, and just crossed our fingers and hoped that we come out on the other side alive.
Yeah. Basically, head down, power through. Michael Bluth style in a way. But yeah, like coming back from that summit, it was just like this crazy energy. I've never seen somebody like we had this one guy from Konami, and he was playing through it's level 119 now. I don't remember the name of it, but it's one we've had forever. And he kept dying over and over on it, and he stood there in front of this little kiosk on, I think it was like the 20th floor of some building or whatever, and just played for like 45 minutes and died over and over and over. And then the game crashed, and then I reset it, and then he just went right back to it and kept playing over and over and over. And when he finally beat it, he saw the replay feature, and he's like, "Oh wow, you guys, this is awesome. We're going to steal this from you." And I kind of look at him, I go, "Well, you're going to have to hurry because I guarantee we'll have it done before you did." And that's when we were still going to do like 100 levels. But we came back from all of that, and it seemed like a shame not to just go all out with it, not to just turn it into, exactly what we wanted to like play and wanted it to be. And when I came back from London, I think that was like right before Tig Jam, and then we started doing the alt levels, right?
Yeah. Well, that was around the same time when we were going into heavy negotiations. Like that was when we were doing the switcheroony with Gish 2 and
the switcheroo.
We're trying our best to convince Microsoft that Meatboy is something that people are going to like. Mm-hmm. And we convinced at least one person, and that person really fought for us hardcore. And that was a fight, though. It was like a lot of people ask, why the hell isn't it on PlayStation? Of course, one of the reasons is that Tommy. We don't want Tommy to die.
We don't want Tommy to die yet.
But aside from the obvious, it was that we are complete unknowns with no power. Like, how do we walk into Microsoft office and be like, okay, you're going to do Meatboy, and also it's going to be on the PlayStation and the Wii and everything else, and it's non-exclusive. Now do it.
Yeah.
Like, that's something that can happen. It was like, we were fighting really fucking hard just to get what we have.
Yeah.
Like, to get to release a month after on PC and possibly Wii was what we got in the contract, and everything else was kind of out the door. And that was as good as we could get. That was like months and months of back and forths of negotiation.
I actually think it was because we signed with Microsoft. It was like January 2010, and we were talking to them in August of 2009, back and forth, trying to actually get them to sort of believe in the game. And I mean, one of the things I think really, really helped us in that situation was I already did have it running, so it wasn't like I sent them a PC build or anything. I said, hey, throw this on your dev kit and give it a go. And then our guy over at Microsoft did and really liked it and everything. But around that time, speaking of like PlayStation and me not wanting to die, I took about, so I got my hands on like one of the little Sony dev kits, like halfway in between the big one that looks like a rack mount and a test kit. And I took it was like 4 days or something, and I ported the engine over to the PS3 and I had it running. And I sent it to Sony, and for some reason they couldn't get it to run. I sent it to that game company, and they were able to get it to run, and I was able to run it, but for some reason they couldn't. So I sent them a PC build, and then we never ever heard back from them. So when it came time during like Xbox negotiations and stuff, we we kind of played it off sort of cocky in a way, and we really didn't mean to. But I have this thing where I constantly have arguments with people in my head. It's probably not very healthy, but but like all the time I'm sitting there and I'm going, well, what if they say this? Well, then I'm going to come back with this. I'm going to blah blah blah. So and this was the one time where it actually came up. So we were talking, and they were kind of concerned that like one programmer doing it on 2 consoles by himself was going to be difficult. And I knew they were going to say that. So I said, well, you tell whoever has a problem with that I ported it to PlayStation in 4 days, and they're our backup if you say no. Kind of cocky, but true. I mean, it was 4 days, and yeah, if they would have said no, we would have put it on PlayStation. So, true. And then, yeah, like shortly after that, we actually signed with them, and they allowed us our month of exclusivity, and everything was going good then. That was right around the time of the IGF, which was, I don't know if stressful is the right word. What's worse than stressful?
I'd say one of the reasons I'm not physically there right now is because the stress of GDC in general. It's usually like for like 3 months prior, I'm already stressing out about it. And I know when we're in the IGF, and I feel for everybody in the IGF because I've been in the IGF many times, and every fucking year it's like sleepless nights for months.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're worried about your game making it in, and then you're worried about your game, if it made it in, getting a prize, or worried about, talking to people there and their crowds and everything else.
Yeah.
And, GDC is already stressful as is. But, yeah, the whole IGF experience last year was even extra stressful for us because it wasn't that we lost. It had nothing really to do with us losing. It was kind of the after effects where people kept coming up to us and saying, hey, I was a judge, and I didn't vote for you guys because you didn't need it because you already have a console deal.
Yeah, that one hurt quite a bit because I remember, I mean, some of you know, I'm a diabetic. Like, I'm type 1 diabetic, insulin dependent. So, like, any sort of stress really destroys me. And it's unfortunate. But, so, kind of an awful story. The night before they announced the finalists, I thought I was having a heart attack because I was so stressed out, and I was like, it was so many like aspects of different kinds of stress. It's like, oh, if it doesn't get in, does that mean the game's not good and we're being delusional and we're spending all this time? Oh, but if it does get in, that's great, but what if it only gets in for this? What if it doesn't get in for that? Just all these things are going through my head. Then it was like, well, if it doesn't get in, then I really can't face anybody. I'm not going to go to GDC and see all my friends. Just all these things are going around in my head, and So, like, I'm sitting there, and I was talking on the phone with my parents, and I was in tears, and my heart was racing, and this was like minutes before the midnight thing where they announced all the IGF finalists and stuff. And yeah, that was a lot of stress. And then the stress of getting in the judges build, which we wanted to show more because, we kind of felt it didn't get in for design. And a couple judges' comments said it didn't get in for design because it was only the first chapter. So we wanted to show what the game actually was. So we crunched and got the second chapter in and got the first boss in. And I think we got in a couple cutscenes. We just polished what we had, we were able to submit that, and so it was just like a ton of stress. Then coming here to GDC last year was I didn't think I was going to make it. I actually had to have my sister come with me because I was here and I felt like I wanted to throw up all the time. My sugar was bouncing all over the place, and then. When we get here and we have people saying that they didn't vote for us because of little reasons like that, we didn't need it. We actually kind of did. We had a console deal. We didn't have any money. My bank account has been in the red several times during Meatboy development, but and then when we got all done with GDC, my A1C, which is like a 3-month total of your blood sugars, it's supposed to be like between 4 and 5. It was 8.5. which means it was just riding super high and then going low and then, just kind of bouncing up and down. But yeah, I mean, we kind of just got through that as best we could.
It didn't hurt that we also had the pressures of, there was just so much pressure.
Yeah, it's just a ton.
And this was just the beginning of it.
Yeah.
Both of us are going from, me especially, I'm going from, okay, I do Flash games and I do indie games, and this is my first console game, so this is me proving my worth. And it's hard to avoid that when it's quite literally that. Like, this is going to show everybody who I am and my value, essentially. So, no stress there. And then, of course, the IGF, like Tommy said, you go into it thinking if you don't make it in, you're a loser. Mm-hmm. And it's hard not to think that way, especially when there's so much writing on it. And it's such a weird thing, like, for a game like Meatboy that did so well, both me and Tommy were extremely worried that we would not make it into the IGF at all. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just everybody kind of goes through these things where it's like, oh, fuck, this is my baby. Is it totally ugly and I can't see it? Like, is this my ugly freak baby that only I love?
Yeah.
You worry about that stuff because, it's just like, it's hard not to fall in love with what you're doing and then lose sight of if it's good or if it's bad.
Yeah.
And I think we just kind of just hoped that like Tommy mentioned, the summits and stuff like that and showing the game really helped us become more confident in the game and really believe in the game more. But the IGF situation in general was very stressful. It was weird for me too because I was going in kind of feeling a bit like I've overstayed my welcome. And that was one of the things that kind of sucked too because a few people, even friends of mine, said that they thought I shouldn't have entered because I'd already won in the past. And
totally forgetting that I haven't won shit.
Yeah.
I don't have any trophies or anything. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was weird, and I guess I had overstayed my welcome a bit, and that's kind of a sad thing about the IGF is like kind of once, like definitely now I feel like I don't feel comfortable entering the IGF anymore. But I guess it's just something you go through, and I think I entered 7 times and made it in 6, so that's a good run, and I had fun while I was there, but I guess, no more entering the IGF.
Yeah.
It's so fucking stressful either way.
Yeah,
But
that's...
I'd say a lot of the things that really slowed us down were conventions. Like we did GDC, and when we got back from that was when Tommy did his rant as well, which was a high point.
Yeah, that was a high point.
We got back from GDC, and we were like just kind of sitting next to each other, not working.
Yeah.
Going like, what the fuck? What the fuck's going on? And just kind of like, being sad.
Yeah, it was super sad.
And but what we ended up doing was we took that and we just pushed it all on the iPhone rant situation, and we decided, we're going to pick ourselves back up by basically making a joke game for the App Store, which was a Meatboy handheld game that looked like a Tiger handheld game.
Yeah.
Which we put up. We did that like over a weekend, and it kind of eased us back into development. But then right after that, we ended up doing E3.
Yeah.
And every time we do these events, we have to focus all of our work on the build so we could show it so it looks pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And then it will take away from development overall because we'll end up working on stuff that we shouldn't be needing to work on just so we can show it and so it looks good. So like both the IGF and GDC kind of fucked with our deadline and pushed us back a couple months because we were working on things that were just kind of for show when we really should have been working on core aspects of the game to get it moving along.
Yeah, we should have been doing stuff like I think at the point of, did we have Hell in for E3? I don't remember.
I had just started it.
Okay, yeah. So what we should have been doing is making all of the obstacles for the next chapters and working on the bosses and then going back and polishing everything. But we kind of, we just aren't able to do that. When Microsoft's like, hey, you have a booth at E3, you don't say no thanks, not right now. You just don't do that. And I mean, I've wanted to go to E3 forever, and then having my game there, it's just like that just kind of sweetens the deal. So yeah, that was that E3 build was like, I was trying to fix this one audio bug, which I actually didn't fix in time, and yeah, it was just super stressful being up, getting up at like 8 o'clock in the morning and working until 11 o'clock in the morning the next day, kind of thing. Like trying to make sure the build is uploaded, and then my internet would fuck up, and that would screw up the upload because I have shitty DSL, and it would upload at like 50K, and the build's like 160 megs going up. And so, yeah, it was just a lot of like really, really awful stress. But I mean, we got through that. We went to E3. E3 was great. I mean, it's just further, whenever we go to those things, and I mean, Ed's mentioned it, but whenever we go and we see people play the game and not put it down, that took any like sadness that we had and just sort of, it just put it off to the side. And it said, well, you need to focus on this because this game is badass and people think it's badass, so forget all the drama bullshit and just focus on the game. And that's kind of what we did throughout the summer after E3. But yeah, around July of 2010, is that when Game Feast stuff came up? I think that's when.
That's August.
Was that August?
Yeah, I know, because it happened around Danielle's birthday.
But what we were doing is we were trying to get the game out right after Summer of Arcade, and because we were starting to go into bug testing in July. And yeah, then the promotion came up, and that's where the most awful part of development was that part when we had a tentative launch date that was like fall, and then Microsoft wanted to do the Game Feast thing with us, and they basically told us, we wanted Summer of Arcade, we got pushed back for various reasons, and yeah, we were kind of bummed about Summer of Arcade, but whatever. And they basically told us that if we didn't get into a promotion with them, that the game wouldn't do as well, because it wouldn't be heavily promoted by Microsoft like Summer of Arcade games are. And when we heard that they were doing another promotion, we said, I remember saying, we will make this no matter what, because it was still a tight deadline. It was 2 months to get through everything. I mean, all of the bugs, all of the certification, all that stuff. It took, and I remember looking at the calendar, and I remember feeling the panic, and I remember feeling just all of the stress of that, and just going, well, and honestly, this is not a joke. It's going to sound like a joke. I said to myself, I will die after this is done. And because I honestly felt like with the stress and everything that I was going to fall over, I was going to have some sort of diabetic coma or something, and I was going to die. And I just kept thinking, I will push through this, and if I can make it through, then I probably won't die, but it's okay if I die afterward. So
yeah, there was so much pressure.
Yeah.
It's really hard to convey, especially now that we can laugh about it.
Mm-hmm.
But like going in, it was quite literally like, okay, here's this promotion. If you don't get into this promotion, then the next promotion is going to be, 6 months away. So
yeah.
We didn't have any money at all at that time, and we had to release the game.
I was negative 800 at that point.
Yeah.
Negative $853 is what I had.
Yeah. So we were kind of fucked, and we were in a situation where we simply had to do it. And what they were asking us to do was essentially finish a game in 2 months that should take like a company 4 months.
Yeah.
That's like going through all testing, all bug testing and everything, and
localization.
Basically finishing the game. And once we actually went into testing, the game wasn't finished yet.
No.
And that's when things got really bad. And
yeah.
There just and this isn't an over exaggeration. Like the last 2 months, 2 full months of development, Tommy and I never took a day off, and I don't think we slept for more than 5 hours a night for those 2 months. So like I would go through phases where like I'd be getting up, I'd get up, I'd get a glass of orange juice and sit next to the computer, and like I've been wearing glasses for many years, and there was times where somehow everything was blurry, and I didn't understand why. And it turned out I never put on my glasses, and it made no sense. It was like, what kind of fucking bizarre loop am I in where I don't do something that's routine every day, but yet I'm in this weird loop. It seemed like a Groundhog Day situation where I was constantly reliving the same horrible day over and over and over again.
Yes.
And it just seemed like we're just treading water, and it's just like, what the fuck's happening? And I was feeling horrible. And like Tommy says, like a lot of like, he didn't tell me about his major worries about dying until things eased up a bit, because I think we were both keeping things from each other, so we didn't overwhelm the other person. And I know like I think it was the last month of development. Maybe once a week, when I was going to bed, I would tell my wife, I want to stop. I don't want to do this anymore. This isn't worth it. Like, I was feeling not only horrible just from all the work, but I was also feeling extra guilty knowing that Tommy is suffering even more because we're at the point where we're just doing bug testing. Yeah. And I can't really help in that department. Like, I can do so much, but most of it was just falling on his shoulders, and I saw that it just kept piling up, and it was just like,
yeah, it was seriously.
I would have just thrown it all away. I'd have said, "Fuck the game." I don't want to release this. This is just not worth it. It was horrible.
It's a bad practice in development to be going through bug fixing as you're implementing features. I don't know if you guys know this, but it is a fact. Because this is how my day consisted. I would go to bed. I would have crazy fever dreams about fixing bugs, so it wasn't really good sleep. I would wake up and fix the bugs from my dreams. Like that's a serious thing. I fix so many bugs by dreaming about them, it's insane. But I would fix those, and I would log on to my little Microsoft thing that would tell me the bugs, and there would be like, let's say 129 bugs. I'd be like, great. So I would focus. And at that point, I was only eating like one meal a day, and my parents were bringing it to me because they knew if they didn't bring me the meals, I would not eat, and I would therefore die. And my parents are kind of fond of me, so they didn't want me to die, so they brought me meals. But yeah, I would get up, I would log into that thing, and I would focus. I usually don't listen to music or anything when I'm working. That was the only time I did because I get like involved in stuff if I block everything else out. So usually I have like the TV on or something, so I don't, work for like 28 hours straight or anything. So I had music on. I am fixing bugs, and most days I would get the 129 bugs down to 30 or 20. Then I would go to bed, and I would have my fever dreams, and I would wake up, and there would be 150 bugs. Because the testers, they tested all night and all day while I was sleeping, and they found even more shit because as I was implementing fixes for the bugs, I was also implementing new features, which meant that there would be new stuff that the testers would try out, and then that would break old stuff, and this went on for at least a month and a half of pure hell. So, but yeah, I mean, we got through it. Somehow. I don't know.
I do not know how. Like, I still think back to those months, and I just like, Jesus Christ. Like,
yeah.
I guess the human body can just do it when it needs to, but like, there's no way in hell that I could ever voluntarily go through something like that again.
Nope.
I would never want to put myself through that again. If somebody said, "Hey, want to do Meatboy again?" and you're going to get the same amount of success, there's no way in hell I'd do that. That was so insane. I mean, it's nice now feeling like, I went through something really fucking tough and now I'm more tough, but I don't know. In a lot of ways, I feel like I'm weaker because I'm afraid of something like that. Because I know how bad it was. But yeah, that was part one of
awful
hell.
Times.
Should I go into part two, Tommy?
Please go into part two.
All right. Part two is the launch.
Yeah.
So we're part of the Game Feast, and the Game Feast was us, Comic Jumper, and Hydrophobia.
And Pinball FX.
Pinball FX.
Yeah.
Which was free.
Yeah.
And we were the last game of the feast.
We were supposed to be the main course is what it was billed as. Yeah. Clever.
But we'd heard from different people at Microsoft when we asked, because we always want to ask, like, how do the suits feel?
On Skype, it just popped up and said 12 minutes, bro. So we got 12 minutes to get through the last 4 months of development.
Let's do it.
All right, let's go.
So, Microsoft basically told us early on, or we heard from a few different people there, that we were projected as being on par, like selling on par as hydrophobia, which worried us because, you know, in our delusional minds, we thought that we were top dog and we were gonna be the one that Microsoft was like, oh, this game's gonna kick ass. But whatever, we still believed in our game and we were gonna push it as much as we possibly could. Then Hydrophobia came out and its leaderboards were grim.
Yeah.
And I think in the first week the leaderboards were like less than 10,000. And if Microsoft was projecting us on par with this game, we were really fucking worried that we were going to just bomb horribly.
Yeah.
So the good thing about the feast, though, is if you any promotion that Microsoft gives you, you get like #1 spotlight and you get an exclusive week. So there's no other games to compete with, and usually get a review by Major Nelson, so on and so forth. They really push it. So they really pushed Hydrophobia, and it got a lot of press and everything else, but it got really bad reviews.
And they had
So
their
a week
dashboard
later-
placement and stuff.
Yeah, a week later, Comic Jumper comes out, and Comic Jumper on the leaderboards does better than Hydrophobia.
Yeah,
It's
it
still
did.
pretty
It did. Yeah, but still kind of, it still worried
Not
us.
something that people would be bragging about.
Yeah,
Again, we were worried because we were projected lower than them.
lower
and,
than yeah.
So at that point, we were kind of like, oh, well, you know, like, if shit happens, whatever. At least we're going to get, you know, pushed as much as possible.
Yeah, we're going to get our spotlight treatment because, like, Comic Jumper had this really nice, like, animated spotlight treatment, and we were like, oh, okay, cool. Well, you know, that'll work for us, you know. And, you know, going back to the arguments in my head, kind of knew what was going to happen next because, the little people in my head told me that it was going to happen. So it's our week to launch. Well, so before our week, which was the 20th of October, the week before that was supposed to be Pinball Effects, and we were going to be the last Game Feast game. Well, Pinball Effects got pushed back, so we weren't the last. That same week, Costume Quest was announced to come out on the 20th also. And we were just like, what the fuck? Everybody else gets a free week except for us, and except for Pinball Effects, because they got moved back. So we're like, great, we're launching next to Tim Schafer's fucking game. Great. Okay, well, that's wonderful. At least we'll get the dash placement. So the documentary crew was at my house, and this is going to be some pretty awful footage for the documentary. But I get up, you know, I am, I guess the term would be shitting bricks, but something much bigger than bricks. So I get up, it's launch day. I turn on the Xbox, no Meatboy. And I go, well, what the hell is this? I go on to Xbox.com. Xbox.com is down. And I kind of go, figures. So you know, I'm sitting there, and I wrote an email to our producer. I was all panicked and everything. I'm like, what's the deal? Are you guys like pulling out of all this? Where is our stuff? And you know, it didn't go up. Finally went up halfway through our launch day, and it was the number 4 spot. It wasn't number 1. What was the Spooktacular Sale, which was a whole bunch of other games that already came out, was the number 1 slot. I believe there was an ad for a Mazda 3 as the number 2 slot. Because you all go on Xbox and figure out what car you want to buy, right? Yeah. It's either that or the Honda Odyssey. I know that was all through our month. I'm like, who the fuck is buying a Honda Odyssey after looking at an ad on Xbox? Anyway, but yeah, I was looking at that stuff, and we were number 4, and we stayed number 4 for the entire week. And we were told several things. We were like, well, if the better you perform, the better you perform, the farther up you'll move in the dash. And we're like, okay, because our first day, even though we only had half of our actual launch day, our first day was like, it was still pretty decent. And then, you know, by our second day, our leaderboards were bigger than Comic Jumpers and Hydrophobias. So we were doing like super
Combined
well,
at that point.
and it just kept going and going and going. And then our Metacritic score at that time was 92. And we're like, well, we meet all the things. Why aren't we moved up? And they said, oh, well, that's different placement, blah, blah, blah. We kind of just got pushed to the side. And yeah, that's basically how Xbox launch went. Is the reason the game sold well is because of how we promoted it. We were the ones doing the interviews. We had the high Metacritic score. I mean, the help from Microsoft was there in a very limited capacity, and I don't know if it was like that they were disappointed that the other games didn't do well, or they just maybe wanted to cut their losses or whatever. But I mean, it's not supposed to hurt your feelings because it's business, but it totally fucking hurt my feelings because, I just killed myself. Me and Ed just killed ourselves trying to get this game done, and now we're just kind of just put to the side. But
yeah, I mean, I still think about it a lot, and even you talk to different people there, and no one can give you a real straight answer. But the only thing that I can make sense of is that since the Game Feast games did so poorly initially, that they kind of wanted to remove. They just wanted to push it away, like Game Feast, and there's no more Game Feast. And I don't know if anybody noticed, but like on all of our ads, there was nothing that tied us into Game Feast at all by the time we launched. So It did seem like Microsoft wanted to distance itself from the Game Feast, which was fine, but in doing so, it completely removed what we tried to push into this promotion, which was to get better promotion and get an exclusive launch week and all this other stuff. And it sounds weird to complain about it, even though we've done so well on Xbox Live, but it was a fucking mind fuck. It was really confusing. At that point, I think we were both kind of so fucked up in our heads from development that we kind of were like very paranoid, and it almost felt like, are these people out to get us? Are they just fucking us over? Like, what's happening here? Like, what did we do to them? Did we do something wrong? Because there were a few times where we might have said things publicly that they didn't like, and I know you just get paranoid and you think, are they trying to screw us over because we did something wrong? But, I mean, in the end, I guess you live and you learn. Now I know what to put in a contract before I sign it. So
really.
Things happen.
I think we're running out of time, so we should probably just snap through these last couple of things. How much time do I have? 5? Okay, 5 minutes. We can do this in 5 minutes. So,
Any questions?
Oh yeah, shit. We need to take questions.
Hey, how about this? Want me to sum it up, Tommy?
Yeah.
We released on Steam, and it did better than Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
How's that?
Yeah. Yeah, it did a lot better. Total, yes, Steam outsold Xbox. It's much easier to update on Steam. Everybody should love all over Steam, like all nasty love all over Steam, because Steam is awesome. We're closing in at like 400,000 sales now for the game. We have retail versions coming out. Our WiiWare announcement, which we've been talking about, is... Oh, I think Ed's gone.
Oh, wait, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. Our WiiWare announcement is there is no WiiWare because we made a game that's too big for WiiWare, unfortunately. And that really sucks because we wanted to do WiiWare. It's just not in the cards, and I'm not going to do episodic content, so no.
We tried really hard to get a retail version, and we talked to a lot of different publishers about it, but nobody wants to touch retail Wii at this point in its life cycle or whatever, and so we weren't able to land that. But we do have 3DS development kits, and we are going to be working on something for the 3DS in the future. We don't know if that'll be Meatboy, but you never know.
It really depends. Like everything that we do is very whatever feels right. So if it feels right to do 3DS Meatboy, we will do 3DS Meatboy. If it doesn't, we'll do something and we'll try to make it super awesome because that's what's fun. And we're still working on the editor and the portal, which should be out very, very soon. They're basically done. We just have to hook them up. Oh, there you are.
Tommy's working on the editor in his hotel room.
Yeah, actually, I'm finishing it up in my hotel room. This is my life now. Oh yeah, that's the Walmart box. Yeah. Okay, keep going. Okay, so sorry we ran kind of late, but we're kind of wordy. We can take like 2 questions, so they better be good. Yes, at the mic person.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, great job, by the way, guys. I love the game.
Thank you.
When approaching digital distribution markets, I notice a lot of them are private, so sales figures and such aren't easily available. How'd you guys approach making your contracts, business plans, and so on for Super Meat Boy, given that a lot of the information isn't public for, like, say, Xbox Live, sales, revenue splits, and so on?
Oh, most like revenue splits and everything are just sort of written in. I mean, and like we said, we don't have any clout because we hadn't made anything, so we just kind of took what they gave us with everybody. Yeah, I mean that's the way we sort of just approached the Microsoft exclusivity stuff is we just kind of pushed it to see what we could get away with. And I mean, it was really honestly it's just kind of a lot of dumb luck as far as like the exclusivity term and everything, but yeah, we just kind of played everything by ear. I know it's not the best advice, but that's kind of how we work, as you can tell from the speech.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yes. Oh.
Hey.
Oh.
Yeah, no worries. It's a little confusing with 2 mics. So there was a lot more pain and agony behind your development process than I could have possibly imagined. And I'm just curious, looking forward, if you have any thoughts on how to mitigate that in the future.
I think the only way we can actually mitigate that kind of stuff is through experience. We won't have money troubles this next game. And we, admittedly, a lot of the troubles that we had were our fault and, just stuff like getting, I guess, like too wrapped up in the game and everything. But that's something we're actually not going to fix because I feel that's what made the game great. But the only way to like fix the stress and all of that is to, we're not going to kill ourselves to get into a promotion next time, that's for sure. And that will save a lot of heartache and a lot of, just pressure that's put onto us. But yeah, experience, just sort of going through it. And we didn't bite off more than we could chew, and that was a good thing. And I think that's something that makes people, that sort of destroys people sometimes. So, if you are very much within your own limits, then you'll be fine. We were just in a compressed timeline within our limits that was, not through our doing exactly.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah, the majority of development was really, really fun and really, really smooth.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, the only negatives were the things that we mentioned. That was only a good 2 months.
Oh, and for the record, working with the creative side of Microsoft was great. It was I was thinking about it in the car. The thing that sucked about it, everybody that we talked to were great. The people that we could not talk to were the people that were the problem. So everyone we worked with was wonderful. Everyone that was making decisions, not so much.
Yeah, I do think the only negatives that we experienced with Microsoft were just...
We got to cut it, Ed. We're like way over.
Make games.
Make games. There.
There's a coffee break, and be back in 15 minutes or more, like 12.
Or more like 12.
Yeah, well, the internet. All right, I'm going to go upstairs to the serious games, the healthy games, microtopics or whatever. Okay. See y'all later. Healthy games.
Aha,
There's
it's
my
you.
card.
Awesome.
And that's also my
Wow,
website.
did you take someone else's
I
business
did.
card and scratch
My-
it out?
my boyfriend.
That's awesome. Thank you.
So I'll be back. I'm just trying to go to the bathroom.